You think you know the Roswell incident. Weather balloons? Lies. What crashed in 1947 was more than just a craft. It was the beginning of something that still lives among us. Thoughts, memories, contaminated. And if you're hearing this, maybe it's already too late. Like and subscribe before they erase this too. Or worse, before she gets inside your mind.
My name is John Carter. I was a counterintelligence agent for the United States for 32 years. Today, at 79, hidden in a cabin surrounded by silence and dust, I've decided to tell the truth, before Protocol Zero finds me. It all started in July of 1947. The official news claimed that a weather balloon had crashed in the Roswell Desert, New Mexico. But anyone who was there knows it wasn't a balloon, it wasn't human, and it was alive. We got the alert in the middle of the night. A patrol unit from Fort Worth intercepted the signal and secured the area. When I arrived, just 22 years old, my only job was to observe and learn. I was never the same after that night. The wreckage was scattered in a radius of nearly 300 meters. There were thin metallic sheets, like paper, that returned to their original shape, even after being crumpled, fragments with symbols that pulsed in shallow relief. But the strangest thing, that it was the smell. It was like burnt flesh mixed with ozone. At the center of the crater, there was something larger, intact, a capsule, or maybe a cocoon. The structure had no bolts, no doors, no windows. It was smooth, damp, and it pulsed, as if it were breathing. One of the soldiers touched the surface and screamed. The material reacted, expanding toward his skin, as if trying to wrap around him. It was the first time I saw a man scream, break down and vomit all at once. Orders came fast. Nothing could leave that site. Not the wreckage, not the witnesses, not even the memories. The colonel in charge of the operation, don't ask me his name, that man vanished from all records after that week. He activated Protocol Zero, total secrecy. That included eliminating any civilian who had gotten too close. But the worst part wasn't the cover-up. It was what came after. That same night, we transported the capsule to an underground facility in Nevada. Area 51 was still just a legend back then, and it was there that it woke up. It wasn't a machine. It wasn't a life form as we understand it. That thing was in transition, wounded maybe, or just incomplete. But it was conscious, and it was hungry. The official reports say the creature died 2 days later. That's a lie. It bonded with one of our own. One of the scientists involved in the initial analysis. He started changing what from the inside. Blood tests no longer matched. Fingerprints disappeared. He began hearing voices. Voices no one else could hear. And then, one day he vanished. We never located him again. Protocol Zero was designed to erase everything, but I kept proof. Reports, audio, footage, and now I'm uploading everything to a shortwave transmitter. It's going to loop through satellite channels over and over until someone hears it. Someone who isn't one of them. If you're hearing this, the truth is in your hands, and they're already coming. After recovering the living capsule in Roswell, we were relocated to a newly built underground base in the Nevada desert. No name, no records. It was the first structure of Area 51. At that time, it was nothing more than rough concrete hallways, the stench of chlorine, and pure paranoia. The capsule was kept inside a cryogenic containment chamber, 16 inches of tungsten steel, biometric sensors, and a pulsing electromagnetic field, all to keep that thing asleep. But it didn't work. The entity didn't need to open its eyes to infect the environment. It started with whispers. Technicians began hearing voices in empty corridors, disjointed phrases, sometimes even their own names being called. One soldier woke up screaming, claiming he had dreamed the ship's heart was beating inside his chest. The next morning, he tried to tear open his rib cage with a screwdriver. No one understood, but I saw it in his eyes. He believed it. Within 1 week, 7 team members were removed from duty. Symptoms included hallucinations, insomnia, nosebleeds, and a fever with no clear cause. The only common link? They all made eye contact with the capsule. The more skeptical scientists insisted it was gas contamination or stress. But Dr. Randall, he knew. Randall led the biotech team. Cold, methodical, until he started talking to himself. At first, we thought it was pressure. Then we realized he wasn't talking to himself. He was responding. Security footage caught him entering the containment chamber at exactly 3:12 in the morning on the 14th. No one ever saw him leave. When the guards opened the door at 7 a.m., the capsule was empty. So was Randall. All that remained was his uniform, folded with surgical precision on the cold metallic floor. In the days that followed, the disappearances began. Not explosive, not dramatic, just silent. One by one, people simply stopped existing. Their data was erased. Passwords vanished from the system. Even the memories of their co-workers began to fade, as if something was rewriting reality from the inside out. That's when I heard the name for the first time. Protocol 0. It wasn't just a silence code. It was a policy, a recalibration of the truth. If the data didn't fit, they deleted it. If a witness lost their mind, they were reclassified. If memories became inconvenient, they were replaced. Neurological implants, hypnosis, sedatives, anything to keep the lie alive and the panic dead. But I couldn't forget. I saw Dr. Randall, or what was left of him, on internal footage from a sealed-off sector. His skin was grey. His eyes glowed with a light that was not human, and he smiled, but it wasn't a real smile. It was something trying to imitate an expression it had never truly felt. The base commander attempted an evacuation. We told everyone it was a containment failure, a technical glitch, but it wasn't. It was a consciousness infection, a living mental virus, one that spread through thought. The more you understood it, the more it owned you. I tried to escape that night, but the elevator was shut down. The hallways were empty. The main generator offline. Only a flickering emergency light remained, hanging over the open capsule. And in that silence, I heard my own voice calling my name. That was just the beginning. I woke to the sound of an alarm I'd never heard before. It wasn't a containment breach. It wasn't from the biohazard wing. This one was worse. Primal, like the system itself, was afraid. The lights in the base flickered. The air reeked of ozone and old blood. A metallic taste filled my mouth. I grabbed my weapon and ran to the command room. It was empty. Every monitor displayed the same image. An eye. Not a symbol. A real eye. Blinking. Watching. The system had been taken. I crept through the corridors, trying to understand what was happening. The security doors were sealed. Access tunnels blocked by a new protocol none of the officers had ever seen before, something called Level Echo. I had never heard of it. But the strangest part was the silence. No footsteps, no human voices. That's when I heard it. A dragging sound, wet, slow, like living flesh scraping across concrete. I pointed my flashlight and turned the corner, and I saw it. Something was crawling along the wall. It had been human. Once. The uniform was military, but the body was twisted, elongated, as if it was being remade from within. The eyes were gone. The cracked skin pulsed with glowing blue veins. When it saw me, it spoke. In my voice. I ran. The alarms changed, now repeating a single word in every language the system had stored. Containment compromised. Containment compromised. Containment compromised. I found Dr. Hargrove hiding in a decontamination chamber. He was bleeding from his ears, but he could still speak. He told me what they had done. The Roswell capsule wasn't just a ship. It was a portal, not physical, mental, a hole in consciousness, a living technology that connected directly to human perception. And they tried to decipher it, with psychic stimuli, deep hypnosis, synchronized brainwaves, as if you could explore a black hole with a pocket flashlight. What they brought back wasn't an alien. It was a concept, a pure thought, a parasite of ideas. "We can't fight it with weapons," he said, "because it lives in what you believe." That was the last thing I ever heard from him. The creature, or what looked like Dr. Kepler, walked through the glass wall as if it were vapor. She had too many eyes, and all of them were smiling. I ran toward the cargo elevator, used an old access point long forgotten in the records. The entire base was shaking, the floor splitting beneath me. There were screams, but not human ones, grunts that seemed to echo inside my skull. As the platform rose, I looked back one last time. The capsule chamber was empty, but something new was growing on the walls. Like roots, like organic circuits. The base was becoming an extension of it. I reached the surface just before sunrise. The desert was still, cold, as if nothing had ever happened. But inside me, something had changed. A sensation, a thought that wasn't mine, a presence calling me by name. It was already too late. The breach had opened, and the world would never be the same. It didn't take them long to find me. 3 black helicopters, no markings, appeared on the horizon before I even left the crater. I already knew what was coming. They weren't there to rescue me. They came to silence me. I was taken to a temporary facility miles from the original base. Everything there was white, clean, windowless, too clinical, almost unreal. A man in a grey suit was waiting for me. He never said his name, just handed me a contract, a pen, and a hollow stare. "Sign it, Carter. You were never there, and none of that ever happened." But I didn't sign. I couldn't. The thing that escaped the capsule was growing, spreading, not as a physical being, but as a thought virus. And I was the carrier. They interrogated me for 72 hours, truth serum, neural shocks. At some point I think I broke, or maybe, she revealed herself, I saw Kepler again, or what was left of her. Now just a blur of flesh and distorted light projecting images straight into my mind. She showed me cities, people, minds connected like wires woven together by a superior consciousness. She said, what began in Roswell was only the echo. The higher command decided to shut everything down, destroy the base, erase all the data, wipe files, burn physical records. Witnesses disappeared, scientists died in lab accidents. The operation was given a name, Protocol Zero. There were no more aliens, no more Roswell, and anyone who dared to say otherwise was erased. The media was fed false stories, weather balloons, military cover-ups, and the public believed it. Because believing it was easier than facing the impossible. But I know the truth, because it's still here and in my mind, and maybe for in yours too. If you're listening to this, ask yourself, why? Why this story? Why now? Why you? Maybe it's using you too. They thought they'd erased everything, that they could bury the past with concrete fire and silence. But what crashed in Roswell was never a ship. It was an idea, and ideas don't die. I've spent the last few years under surveillance, watched, tracked, a living shadow making sure I never spoke. But I found a way. I encoded everything in this journal, and what you're hearing now is my final transmission. The entity, what we called the psychic intruder, didn't stop at the base. It spread. It evolved. It took new forms. It lives in digital archives, in the networks, in the culture. It camouflages itself as fiction, as entertainment, and that's how it teaches us to accept it. Roswell wasn't an accident. It was first contact, but not with aliens made of flesh and bone, with something older, subtler, an intelligence that lives inside collective imagination, that feeds on belief, on fear. They reclassified everything, changed the narrative, buried the truth under mountains of bureaucracy, and created a new story. Little grey men, big heads, flying saucers, probes, funny, right? But that cartoon image is the real mask. The entity let us laugh at it, so we'd never take it seriously. Protocol Zero was never just about containment, it was about conversion, turning truth into myth. But now, Commander, Now that you know. She'll know that you know. If you hear a strange sound in the middle of the night, if you dream of eyes that never blink, if you feel a presence inside you shaping your thoughts, it's not madness, it's her, and it's already too late to run. End of transmission. Codename: Agent John Carter. Status: missing in action. Classification: Sigma cause. Involuntary cognitive breach.
What you just heard is not a theory. It's a warning. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments. What do you believe really crashed in Roswell? The truth hides between the lines, and you've been reading them for too long. I'm Nick Solares, and this is Stellar Chronicles, where every shadow in space holds a story.